Today on Live Daily News, a shopping center in town is up for sale, a man was arrested for threatening a woman with a knife, and a barber shop is giving away free turkeys. I'm James Bellini, and this is Live. We'll get to the news in a minute, but first, looking for the best buffalo wings in San Angelo? Head over to the ArcLight Bar and Grill, conveniently located inside the Clarion Hotel at 441 Rio Concho Drive. Their variety of wing flavors is second to none, featuring options like raspberry chipotle, ghost pepper, Nashville hot, sweet heat honey, teriyaki lime, everything rub, and the classic hot wings. Relax and let the ArcLight toss your wings to perfection while you enjoy the largest video wall in West Texas, surrounded by 20 other flat screen TVs. Pair your meal with one of their daily drink specials for the ultimate dining experience. Visit the ArcLight Bar and Grill inside the Clarion Hotel at 441 Rio Concho Drive in downtown San Angelo. Starting things off, the Glenmore Shopping Center located at 111 Paint Rock Road is up for sale for the low price of $1.123 million. The property spans over 15,000 square feet, has a parking lot for 50 vehicles, and was recently renovated as early as last year. The property is currently 74% leased and offers a 10% capitalization rate. If you are interested, contact Brandon Sellers at Eustis Company Realtors. For a little help this Thanksgiving, Majestic Studio and Lounge is giving away free turkeys for those in need. The barber shop, located at 4818 Southland Boulevard, purchased 60 turkeys and is giving them away with a first-come, first-served basis, and they're going fast. At 2:15 today, they only had about 27 left. Owner Johan Marrero teamed up with our good friend Luis Ortega of Up Positive Promotions and doubled the amount they gave away last year. Marrero said San Angelo has given him so much and has allowed him to become what he is today, especially with God, and wanted to give back to the community. Again, the address is 4818 Southland Boulevard in the shopping center right there at the intersection of Southland and Green Meadow Drive. Have you downloaded the San Angelo Live mobile app yet? It's free and it's the best app in the business. Download it off the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. Stay up to date with news in San Angelo. And a San Angelo man was arrested yesterday for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. 33-year-old Kelby Jones was booked into the Tom Reed County Jail after allegedly threatening a woman with a knife. According to court documents, the victim was dropping off diapers and was met with a confrontation from Jones. This escalated to Jones pushing the victim down and into furniture until he pulled a knife and threatened her. Jones was arrested on November 24th and was released earlier today on $50,000 bond. Now into weather. I hope you're ready because you can expect freezing temperatures later this week and increasing clouds. Right now it's sunny, 65 degrees with a high of 68 and a low tonight of 50. Tomorrow the high gets up to 82 before dropping down to 42 tomorrow night. On Thanksgiving, a cold front moves through and the high will only be 56 and the low that night is 32. And Friday isn't much warmer as the high only gets up to 57 and the low hits 37 that night. And when we come back, Ryan Chadwick talks about the Central Bobcats All-District Award winners. But before that, a word from the Bass Bunch.
$59,999 for a new Ford Expedition XLT. Get a full-size 3-row seating SUV for the family that needs a lot of room. Equipped with a moonroof, second-row captain seats, along with many more features, make it the absolute perfect SUV. You can only get deals like this at Jim Bass Ford, Houston Hart and Arden Road, or shop 24/7 at bassbunch.com, or use this QR code. Yep, the one on my shirt.
8 members of the Central Bobcats football team recently received first-team recognition for their performance during the 2024 season. The Bobcats were represented by 4 players on offense: tight end Kasner Stribling, wide receiver Gavin Johnson, offensive lineman Tuuta Kalamafoni, and Chase Cole. Central's 4 defensive selections were defensive lineman Brian Sandoval, linebackers Jacob Jackson and Mason Van Sickle, and safety Kason Rogers. Second-team honorees included quarterback Christian English, wide receiver Jimmy Edwards, offensive lineman Caleb Martinez, and defensive lineman Riley Owens. Earning honorable mention for Central were kicker Evan Vaughn, quarterback Zayden Norton, running back Elijah Allen, linebackers Ricardo Peresquia, and Luis Angel Garcia, offensive lineman Jacob Reyes and Ethan Boyd, and defensive lineman Sean Scott. The Cats finished 4-6 this season and look to continue to improve during the offseason and beyond. Coming up, Congressman August Pfluger from his town hall meeting last night. But first, here's a word from Jay Chandler.
It's hard to believe how reckless some people can be and how hard they fight against real victims. You need a partner who consistently beats the giants and who will never, ever flinch.
Mr. Congressman Pfluger serves in the 11th Congressional District, ranging from Midland, Odessa, San Angelo, Llano, Killeen, Brownwood. He is a proud husband to Camille, proud father to 3 lovely daughters, lives here in San Angelo, Texas, is a graduate of San Angelo Central High School, go Bobcats, and a graduate of the U.S. Air Force Academy. He's a decorative fighter pilot. He has served on the National Security Council. And one thing he does well is he goes up there to D.C. and he represents our conservative Christian values out here in West Texas and does it well. We all know that. So, he's had the pleasure of serving on the House Committee of Homeland Security and founded the Mach 1 Caucus and the Texas Ag Task Force. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce my friend, Congressman August Pfluger.
We have a great group of elected leaders here, including Judge Lane Carter, who's doing a wonderful job for Tom Green County. And I don't want to forget anybody. Drew Darby is here. We've got a number of elected officials. If you are elected, will you please stand up? I'd like to recognize you and thank you. I say this at almost every town hall, but if we would just do it like Tom Green County, like San Angelo, like West Texas, we wouldn't have to have town halls because there would be elections in D.C. Lane, thank you for the kind introduction. Darcy, thank you for the prayer. I keyed in on 2 words you said. Answers that are clear and understandable. That is the purpose of a town hall, and I pray that I will answer them clear and in an understandable way. But how's everybody feeling tonight? Feeling pretty good? I mean, I'm feeling good. I want to deliver a message of hope, a message of optimism, a message of the last 4 years of prayers that I think, from my perspective, have been answered. But that doesn't mean the work. We got a lot of work to do, and I want to tell you about that work. I want to, set kind of what I see as the guidelines and the agenda that we have, and the things that I believe we're going to have to work on. So, 3 things that I kind of want to start with and talk about as we get going tonight. Number 1, what did this election mean for our country? What is that mandate? What is the agenda? Number 2, as we enter this period of transition, there is still work left to be done in Washington, D.C. at the end of the year. But there's also work as a transition of peaceful transition of power. This is something that makes our country the most unique form of governance in the world. For 248 years, we've had a peaceful transition of power. And other governments have tried to replicate that. And I want to tell you what it means in practical terms and give you some opinions that I'm seeing. And then number 3, I want to tell you about a unique platform that I'm going to have as chairman of the Republican Study Committee. I was elected by my peers, by 175 Republicans, to be the chairman of the largest organized policy group for conservative policy in Washington, D.C. And I'll tell you about what that means and what it means for Washington, D.C. Before we get into that, let me introduce my biggest supporter, my best friend, somebody who, if I didn't have her support, I didn't have, let me tell you, when she gives me a to-do list at home of the kids need to be here and this is when the activities start, I don't know how she does it. I really don't know how she does it. My job in D.C. is busy, but it's not near as busy as my wife. So this is my wife, Camille. She doesn't get to come to very many town halls because she's busy with the kids. We have a 17-year-old who was able to help out. Secondly, before we get into that, here's what I want to do, is every time we have a town hall, I've started with what I call a good news story. A lot of things to complain about, a lot of things that we can talk about that, you know, we want to make better. That's why everybody's here, because you all are, I know everybody in this room is a community leader. You have served in ways that are unimaginable. You have volunteered, you have done things that make a difference in our community. And we're going to talk about hard things tonight too, but let's talk about something good. We have somebody in our midst who I have met and who has, for the last 4 years, has gone to naturalization ceremonies here in San Angelo and has presented a medal, a little medallion that really speaks to the fact that being a citizen is an honor in this country. That it really is everything. When you look at this flag, we're not one race, we're not one religion, we're not one language. You know, people come here from all over. And the reason they come here is because of this flag, because of what it stands for, because it stands for patriotism, because it stands for the fact that we agree to abide by a certain rule of law, that we agree that we'll put differences aside when the laws are passed, that we will agree to be a part of a country that is bigger than just being of the same religion or being a nation. If you want to think about it, we're a country that has many nationalities that have come together for the purpose of living the American dream. So this person amongst us tonight has gone to naturalization ceremonies and has presented this medallion to our new citizens. And at times you'll see 40 or 50 people that have gone through the process legally to be a citizen, have come here because they love this country, have taken an oath. And I guarantee you, if you put their knowledge of this country up against anybody in this room, watch out. Because they know more, because they've studied it. They had to take a test. And so what I would like is for us to recognize Elaine Moore. Elaine, will you please come up here? Elaine has gone out of her way at every naturalization ceremony to give this medallion to our new citizens, to the newest citizens of this country, to let them know that we care about how much they care about this country. And Elaine, on behalf of the 11th Congressional District, this isn't just me, this is 750,000 people that go from Odessa to Killeen, 20 counties. We want to tell you, job well done, and we are thankful for your devotion to these new citizens. Thank you. Pretty neat to see those in our community who care so much. Elaine, thanks for being here tonight. That was a surprise, which some people don't like the surprises of being called up in the front. But let's talk about what this election meant on November 5th. I saw some of you at our election night watch party. And as we watched through the night, first off, I was so thankful by about 2 o'clock in the morning that we started to see some of these states that had called it. Of course, there's California, who apparently can't count. And they're still counting.
Still?
But having the fingers and toes.
Yeah, that's right. That doesn't work in our tax office, does it? But you saw these states, these swing states, that they started to go for Trump. Places like Pennsylvania and Ohio, and even into Arizona and Nevada, as the couple days went on. And I started to kind of reflect on what did it mean. And I've had these town halls here. The last one we did was at the Cactus. Every county I represent, we go and we sit and have discussions. And there has been anger and resentment and why can't we get this done? And you know, it's absolutely maddening on the border, the lack of border security that we have. The fact that we've had people like Elaine that go and present a medallion to our citizens, new citizens, people who do it correctly, who want to be here because they want the rule of law. They're coming from countries where we don't have the rule of law. A banana republic, you know, somewhere in a different part of the world, that they are escaping a system of governance that doesn't work because they want this one. And I think that on November 5th, that night, what we saw loud and clear was people were sick and tired of an open border with hundreds of thousands of gang-affiliated people, terrorists that have come into this country, people that are here that don't believe in following the rules. We saw loud and clear on November 5th that there is a mandate, I think first and foremost, for us to reestablish the security, not just at our southern border, but also at our northern border, to reestablish the rule of law. And if you ask me, and I've questioned Mayorkas multiple times, some people say, well, they just want these people to come in and vote for the Democrat Party. No, I think that may be tangential to it. But I think the real reason that they did this, that they didn't enforce the rules and the laws, the things that we already have on the books, was so they could deconstruct the rule of law. And if you can do it at the southern border, and you can say, come on in, here's a notice to appear. You know how many people appear? We're talking 5% or less. If you can do it with that, then the executive branch can do anything they want. And they did that for 10 million people. And I think first and foremost, loud and clear, that there was a mandate to re-secure the border. And that was spoken loud and clear. President Trump was elected to come in first and foremost and do that. Number two, how about our economy? Anybody sick and tired of high prices? The stock market immediately went up. The outlook, the economic outlook for investments immediately improved. People have the confidence in what Donald Trump knows economically, what his business interests have been, the fact that he cares greatly about lowering the cost for every American, not just the wealthy, but think about the Main Street businesses that, because of the tax cuts that we had in 2017, allowed people to go out and start a business, gave them access to loans, gave them access to an investment horizon that set the conditions for them to live the American dream. And I think the fact that he has that ability to cut through the chaff, to get right to the heart of the matter, and he knows how to spur that economic investment, that speaks volumes about the mandate, which is to get us back to a point where people can own a home. Let's get Americans back to the point of view where if you want to live that American dream and you want to work hard, that you've got access to capital, that you don't have to fill out 100 pages. Has anybody gone for a loan lately? Okay. When you go for that loan, how many pages are you filling out? I mean, it's a little overwhelming.
There's bought a house, so, yeah.
And thankfully, some can still do that. But how about the new couple, the 20-something-year-old couple with a baby that wants to get out of an apartment and have that American dream and buy a home? They've been targeted. They've been targeted by a government that doesn't allow them to do that. That mandate on November 5th said, let's get back to allowing Americans to buy a home. That is uniquely American. That is something that we should be proud of. And if you want to do it, you want to live that dream, let's let you go do that. But that involves having an economy that is strong, having an economy that is not built on a paper tiger where you have regulations that are overreaching. Speaking of overreaching regulations, I think number 3 in the mandate that we saw on November 5th was cutting the regulations from a government that is reaching into your private lives and threatening to tell you that you can't have a gas stove anymore, that tell you that you need to drive an electric vehicle, and you go get a license plate downtown, we shouldn't have to be forced into an electric vehicle. You should have a choice. If you want an EV, I'm not going to make you raise your hand in this room, don't worry. But if you want to buy an EV, go buy it. If it fits your lifestyle and that's what you want to do, then do that. But for me, internal combustion, that's the way I'm going, and I want that choice. And I've been fighting for 4 years against an administration that was overreaching. And that's important because I represent Midland and Odessa, the heart and soul of American energy. Just over there, 6 million barrels. And they're telling us, well, we've got to cut emissions. We've been cutting emissions. And those oil and gas companies over there care greatly about doing it better. Yes, some government regulation is okay, but guess who should pass those laws? We should. In the House of Representatives. And I should stand before you and say, this is what we passed, and you should provide me feedback. But instead, what's happened is the executive branch, the EPA, the Department of Energy, and all these agencies have written regulations into law. How many town halls do those guys do here? None. The mandate was loud and clear about government regulations. We don't want them. There's certain agencies we need to get rid of. There's certain people, there's government offices, there's things that are inefficient. Let's not have those. Let's do the bidding of the American people in a smart way, in a safe way, but not in an overreaching way. I think that was spoken loud and clear. And lastly, I think the mandate, and this is important, and for all the veterans in the room, we all stand up real quick. I want to recognize you. Let's give them a round of applause. It's pretty fitting that we're in the VFW. I thank you for hosting us tonight. But when you look back on your time in the service and you look at the military today, I'm worried. I'm a veteran myself. I'm worried about where our military is. Are we focused on lethality, on readiness, on being warriors, or are we focused on a social experiment that detracts from the mission and doesn't actually support our families? And I think the latter, unfortunately, is true. We need to regain focus. For our airmen and our guardians, that's what they call the Space Force, that are stationed here at Goodfellow, that are going through the top-notch intelligence training, the best intelligence training in the world. We want them to leave San Angelo, to graduate from Goodfellow, to go into the service, and to be ready, if needed, to fight our nation's wars. I hope we don't have to. In fact, what I hope is, and I think this is true, because people around the world, enemies around the world, adversaries around the world, they fear Donald Trump. They fear him. Sometimes the tweets you see, there's reason to fear. Okay? But they fear him. And we want that to happen because we don't want to get involved in wars. We want deterrence to work. But it hasn't worked over the last 4 years. And the mandate was loud and clear on November 5th. Reestablish the United States in the rightful position around the world, where our enemies fear us, where our allies respect us. They know that when we say something, we're going to follow through on it. And I feel like we're there. You can already see people starting to kind of come into line. I know that they're going to work hard. And this leads me into the second point, which is what are we doing in the next couple of weeks in a transition period? What's happening? You see the speed by which the cabinet has been named. They're not messing around. We're in a pretty unique position. President Trump was elected in 2016. He took office in 2017. We had 4 years where the economy was good, our national security. I was flying combat missions when he took over. And it was an immediate change from Obama to Trump. The rules of engagement were better. Commanders were delegated authorities that they didn't have under Obama. The enemies, like Syria, remember when they used chemical weapons, when Bashar al-Assad used chemical weapons? They feared us because Trump stuck to his word. We're going to get back to that. And the cabinet has been picked. and they're going to go through a confirmation process. But that cabinet is there for a reason. They are going to carry out the mandate that was given by the American public in every single swing state. The most electoral votes. Has anybody watched Reagan? It's a good movie, isn't it? We just watched it. And this was the most electoral votes from a Republican since Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
And that is a loud and clear mandate from the American people to the president to get business handled.
Amen.
So in the House of Representatives, I spent some time talking to Mike Johnson today, Speaker Mike Johnson. We've got a mandate as well. I've talked to y'all about this. I think we need to get rid of these executive orders and we need to get back to regular order. Passing the laws in the House of Representatives, sending it to the Senate, getting our fiscal house in order, and having the president sign these laws. Now, I want to set some expectations. Linda's always a big fan, and it's nice to have some applause every once in a while. Let's talk about this Doge. Okay?
Amen.
Now, there is no question that we have inefficiencies. I've been telling y'all what I'm seeing for 4 years. I mean, we've got some government offices that are just not. I mean, nobody's there. They're not doing anything. And I think guys like Elon Musk. I mean, he's a pretty smart guy. Okay. But I do want to remind y'all. When I've just said we've got to get back to regular order, right? So the executive branch, yes, they are going to make some recommendations on cutting things, but who has the purse strings? We do, okay? I can promise you in the House, and I talked to Mike Johnson about this today, that we are going to be looking at that. We've been trying to cut. Last year, we cut about a percentage out of the budget, and it was like pulling teeth. It was like pulling teeth. We need to do more. But it takes 60 votes in the Senate. We have 53 Republicans, which takes 7 Democrats to come over. Yes, I think the Department of Education has done more harm to our education system than they have done good. Getting 7 Democrat senators to sign on to the complete abolishment and repeal of the Department of Education. I'm going to need y'all's help. Y'all come up to D.C. because we're going to need to talk to those 7 Democrats and tell them why. So setting expectations here, we've got work to do. We've got a lot of work to do. Remember when we said we were going to repeal Obamacare? That was work. To get to that point, we were 1 vote short in the Senate. I wasn't even elected at that time. But I want to set the expectation that if we really are going to get back to regular order, that the Department of Government Efficiency will name some projects, but we need to do that work in the House and in the Senate. And y'all know as well as I do what a fight that will be. You know that getting those 7 additional votes to do things like the repeals that are being floated will be a fight. And it's not impossible, but it will be a fight.
Amen.
So how are we going to be helping? How am I going to be helping do this? And this is where the optimism comes in and the hopefulness comes in. The Republican Study Committee is the oldest and the largest policy committee. It's 52 years old. It has 175 members. This is the heart and soul. They call it the conservative conscience of Congress. People like Jim Jordan, Mike Johnson, the current Speaker of the House, Steve Scalise, and others were chairmen of this group. So I decided about a year ago that this would be a good opportunity, a good organization to lead. We meet every Wednesday. We bring cabinet officials over. We hear conservative policy. We educate our members on what that policy is. And then we go push leadership, the speaker, the leader. We push them in a conservative direction. That's our job. Let's get informed on conservative policy and let's push leadership and hold them accountable for the things that we say we're going to do. So last Friday, I was elected as the chairman of this organization. And I'm proud to do that and proud to be the chairman of this because The things that I've talked about tonight, whether it's energy security or border security, those are going to be the first couple of things that we do. We're going to tackle these. We're going to use this organization and this platform to highlight the issues that I see here in West Texas, because those are the national issues that we're facing. And it's going to be a good opportunity for us to take a little bit of West Texas to Washington, D.C. So I will keep you up to date. One way that I do that is if you haven't signed up for our Pfluger. Does anybody get the Pfluger flyby in here? If you don't, please give us your email address. I'll send you a weekly update, a newsletter on what we're doing.
Got it.
And let you know where I stand on issues, how I'm voting, what the major pieces of legislation are. And I can promise you that beginning on January 3rd, we're going to tackle H.R. 1, which is the energy bill. We're going to tackle H.R. 2, which is the border security bill. And when President Trump takes office on January 20th, we hope to have many pieces of legislation waiting on his desk, ready to be signed to get us back on track. Let me take your questions.
When it comes to unique pieces you can't find anywhere else, Kano's Diamonds and Coins is your one-stop shop. With over 24 years in the diamond and coin industry, Kano's Diamonds and Coins is West Texas's choice for diamonds, jewelry, coins, silver, and gold. Owner Bill Kano stands by his work and offers free consultations, including estate jewelry. Don't just trust anyone with your valuables. Come see the staff at Kano's at 1016 West Beauregard in San Angelo.
Thanks for watching the Live Daily News Show, the only locally owned news show in the Contra Valley. Go like us on Facebook, X, and other social media platforms, and download the San Angelo Live mobile app to stay updated with news from in and around the Contra Valley. Thanks again, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.